欢迎大家收看 I Love Art 我爱艺术 Julie and Friends 的特别节目，我是代班主持人 Michael 蒋同庆。那今天在我们节目当中呢，我们请来这位艺术家非常有意思。其实呢，他是透过他的居住生活来深入的探索一座城市，所以从他的作品当中呢，我们就可以感受到他所要诠释那座城市的面貌。那其实他现在是居住在台北，所以等一下要好好的跟他聊一下他的眼中以及他画笔下的台北到底是什么样子的一个城市。当然啦，他也住过其他的一些亚洲的城市，所以等一下要好好的聊一聊。那现在就让我们欢迎一下今天我们的来宾，也就是来自伦敦的艺术家 Leon Fenster. Hi, Leon.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be with you.Hello,
Leon. 其实 Leon 的展览现在正在宛儒画廊里面在举行当中一直到12月11号为止。
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is the connection between you and Yuanru Gallery?
Well, I was introduced a while ago to Julie by
Julie, right? Yeah, I thought so.
Yes, by some friends, Esther and Frank.And Julie asked, would you like to do an exhibition in my gallery? And I said, sure. And so here we are.
Actually, I actually had a chance to go to your exhibition. And I find them to be so amazing. And it's so enthralling to look at your drawings because each work, you really care about the details. So there are so many interesting details of that city you're trying to portray. And of course, that's your interpretation.Of that city, right?
Right. Yes. Yes. It's very kind of you to say so. To me, you know, as you can tell, my drawings are very crowded, very full of details, and full of little stories to discover. And in a way, I'm trying to train the viewers of my artwork to assume that everything in it has some kind of meaning and is worth exploring, worth putting your time into finding those hidden stories, and seeing your own city in a new way.
Right.
I like to say.You know, like children do, to see the magic in the mundane. Yes.
Yeah, talking about seeing your city in a special way through your eyes. You know, there is one painting in the exhibition. It's called Taipei 101 Nights.
Yeah.
In that painting, actually, you see a lot of sites. You know, Taipei. You know, important sites of Taipei.
Right.
For instance, 101, the CKS Memorial Hall, Grand Hotel, Northgate, Beimen, temples, night markets. Ximending is also in that painting. And also a lot of convenience store signage.
Right.
How can you miss that if you're in Taipei, right?
Well, exactly. It's a crucial part of living in the city. And you know, when you think, you know, I try to often imagine what are the things that someone might remember and miss in the city once they leave. And they might take them for granted while they're still in their city. But once you leave, you realize, actually, I really miss the convenience store life.
Exactly.
Or the night markets. I mean, in some way, the whole artwork has the atmosphere of a night market, the hubbub, the busyness, the lights and signs at every corner.
That's very, very interesting. But I'm very curious to know, like for that painting, what is the first thing that you drew on that canvas? What was the first thing?So
you may not be that surprised to hear that I began with drawing Taipei 101, the tower.
真的?
Yes.
Start from 101?
Yes.
Okay.
I find this to be actually a very beautiful building. And it's rather incredible that we have this single object, which, you know, you can see from vantage points at almost anywhere you are in the city. And it centers us like a North Star for the city.
Yeah.
So
in a way, yes.
So in some way, I drew this with the city kind of emanating from that tower.
From 101, from 101开始，一切从101开始。
Yes.
Okay. There are some very interesting elements. How you like to combine different elements together. For instance, there is an area where you have the 天灯. Okay, the sky lanterns. Okay, the 平息天灯. If you look from afar, it's 平息天灯 for sure. But if you look closely, actually you find the typical Chinese rice cooker. 大同电锅. Among the 天灯 floating in the air. That is very interesting. How you combine the two.
Yeah, you know, in some way, you know, when you look at the lanterns, they have this very dreamy look, as though they're carrying our dreams and memories up to the sky. And I think that those objects also somehow carry the memories and nostalgia of the city. So many people, I think it connects them with an earlier time being the city. Maybe as a child, they would maybe cook their meals at home, but also, you know, take them abroad and take them on, you know, on holiday.
Definitely. Talking about childhood memories, there is one part that draws back a lot of childhood memories for me is the CKS Memorial Hall,
Yes.
Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall.
Yes.
Once again, you combine different elements. There's the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall,
Right.
but there's also the conveyor belt sushi
Yes, yes.
that runs around the building and enters into
That's
the
right.
main entrance where the arch is.
Yes.
Okay, and then you combine another element into that building, which is something that draws back my memories of my childhood,
Right.
of the mailbox.
Yes, yes.
Of the older Chinese,
Right.
of the older buildings that you find here,
Right.
where there are like postal boxes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, once again, you combine like 3 different elements, you know.
Right, to me, right, in kind of colliding together, different time periods, different, you know, the, as it were, like the sacred and the mundane of the city together in one. And the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall has an especially important meaning, and it was one of the reasons why it's quite prominent, is that it does symbolize, and it somehow the way Taiwan has changed, you know, this transition into this flourishing democracy.
Yeah.
It is some way embodied by still having this memorial to Chiang Kai-shek in the middle of the city. But now, this particular memorial is intertwined with all these other memories, all these other parts of the city, all these other things that we love about the city.
Yeah.
And so that's why we have the sushi conveyor belt moving inside, we have the postal box.
That means it's so interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's almost like a dream-like. It only happens in a dream.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
It's very illogical, but it makes sense.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. I think though it's how we remember our cities.
Right.
But, you know, when we dream about our city, we don't dream about it in chronological order or as a simple map, or each thing, even a memorial, having a single meaning. Actually, everything has multiple meanings. And for each different person, it will have many multiple meanings.
Yeah. And then in this painting, 你也可以看到三太子, okay? The character, the god, one of the gods, 三太子, you actually show in the painting as well.
Right.
And also the kind of, you know, a street side banquets that you find only in Taiwan.
Yes, yes.
The bando, you know,
Yes.
which you have it in the painting as well.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, my approach is all about throw everything in there. Like, you know, whether it seems important, unimportant, whether I agree with it, I disagree with it, whatever it is, I throw it all in there and see how it mixes together. So it's supposed to be a reflection of the city, which contains the multitudes, and so the multitudes should be inside the painting itself as well.
Okay, and I have a question. Of course, there's the yellow garbage truck that you find in Taipei
Right.
City, right?
Yes.
Who is that guy playing the piano on top of that garbage truck?
Ah, yes, right, right, yes. So this da 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 may have one meaning for everyone around the world, but for us, this Beethoven piece means the trash truck is arriving. So that's why Beethoven is perched on top of the.
What was
the
your
rubbish
first
truck.
impression when you heard that music in Taiwan? When you heard like, hey, actually the garbage truck here actually plays music. What was your first impression of that?
Right. I think I think before I came, I did not know about this actually.
Okay.
This was a surprise to me.
Right.
And I think like many people coming from Europe or from the States, when we hear this, the first thing we think of is an ice cream truck. So we assume an ice cream truck is around the corner because it's the same kind of music.
Yeah, it's like
that back in
Worldwide,
Britain,
it's an ice cream
trucks,
truck. They play the music,
Yes,
you know.
Yes. So then when the rubbish truck arrives, that was
要吃冰淇淋了,
unexpected.
ice cream.
Yes, yes.
But no, actually it's a garbage truck.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so now I think for me, having spent 3.5 years in Taiwan, actually that fur release for me also means the garbage truck is arriving.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so back to how you actually start off with the painting. You said you started off with 101, right? Do you actually make a list of the different elements, different architecture, different, you know, local delicacies, you know, the people that you want in the painting? Do you make a list before you start the painting?
Usually I will, as I'm wandering around the streets, I'll make, in my head, I'll see things that I want to include. I may imagine certain connections I might want to make. And yes, I do also in a notebook keep lists of things that I would like to include. And then when I feel like I have enough and the dam is ready to break, as it were, then I begin the artwork.
Ah, okay, once you compile a list and you think that's done, you start the artwork. But how do you choose what to put on the artwork and what to omit from the artwork?
Well,
after your list is done.
Yes, my general rule is not to omit anything. Put anything in there. Put everything in there.
Okay, put everything in.
On the other hand, if I'm doing a general city artwork, I would like it to be things that people from that city will recognize. Because it should evoke your experience of the city, your memories of the city. But my general rule is not to shy away from anything. Anything could go in.
Yeah. How long does it take you to complete a piece? For example, the Taipei 101 Night. Because that's a huge piece.
Right.
It's bigger than these two pieces that we see behind us right now, right?
Yes. So each piece is very different.
Right.
So some of them could take a month to do, some could take 4 months or 6 months even. It depends. I don't plan these artworks.
Right.
Actually, let's do that one. Let's do that answer again. Some of my artworks take a month to complete. Others could be 4 months.
4 months.
Could be up to 6 months
that long.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Usually I work quite quickly. And
do you work many artworks at the same time, or just one piece at a time? You finish that one and you go on to another one?
No, usually multiple pieces at
the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this has a big advantage because every time you switch from one artwork back to another artwork, you see it with fresh eyes. So it keeps it fresh, keeps it exciting.
Right.
And I think it makes the artwork more playful as well.
Yes.
Because I'm flitting
Playful is an
around.
important thing.
Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah.
Yes.
When do you know the artwork is completed? When do you know that is okay?
Yes.
I'm through with this. I'm done with this. This is perfect.
Right.
Perfecto.
Yes. Yes. The simple answer is when it's full.
Oh, when it's full.
Yes,
满的时候.
I'm very wary of leaving any wasted, as I call it, empty space. Especially if I'm drawing a dense city, then I want that artwork to reflect that density. It's a feature of cities that we don't have wasted space.
Right.
Everything is used in some way, usually multiple ways at once. Yes.
It's very amazing because looking at Leon's artwork, actually, of course, you see all these images, the different elements of that city. But in a way, if you look very closely, you can sort of smell it. You can sort of smell the streets. You can actually hear the sounds.
Yes.
That's what I get from it. So when
Wonderful.
you say you have to, 画得很满, you have to draw to the, to the fullest. I can actually feel that in your paintings.
That's excellent. So if you feel it, if you smell it, I feel like I've done my job well.
Yeah.
Yes.
哇，很有意思啊！好像 Leon 呢，身为一个外国的艺术家，然后在台湾工作，在台湾生活，我也深深的可以感觉到他有细细的感受、细细的品尝，然后非常深入的了解啊，非常之钻研在台湾的一些文化以及一些景点上，他对那个景点的观察非常非常的入微。好，我们休息一下呢，等一下呢，我们再请 Leon 来分享一下他其他的作品，当然也要请他来介绍一下他的这个 creative process， 他的创作过程。欢迎回来 I Love Art 我爱艺术 Julie and Friends 的特别节目，当然继续要跟我们的 Leon 聊。Actually, Leon, within your city series, there is the family artworks. That is very, very interesting because I heard you actually sit down with families and they share with you their experiences in that city, and you actually create a painting, adding different elements of their memories of that city.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. I really enjoy making these, actually.
Yeah. How does that work? How does the creative process actually work?
Yes, so I will sit down with the family and discuss their life, often in a particular city, or their life in its entirety.
Right.
And focusing on the world that is that particular family unit. And then once I feel I have a real sense for all of their adventures and stories and experiences, then I go off and create a single artwork that for them is a reflection of ideally their entire life as a family.
Wow. Yes. That must be a big responsibility. Don't you feel any pressure doing that?
Well, yes. I mean, so far I haven't done one for anyone who was disappointed.
Oh, good.
Fortunately.
That's good.
There is a slight nervous moment when you reveal it to the family.
Right.
Does this actually capture their story or not? But I feel very fortunate, really, that I get to have this little window into so many different families.
Into their lives.
Yes, exactly. And get to help them in some way get some sort of new appreciation for the everyday things in their life, which become their own language, their own world.
Right.
Yes.
Actually, I see more of the family artworks that are focused on two cities, right?
That's
Beijing
right.
and Shanghai. You lived there before as well, right?
Yes, that's right. So I've previously lived in both Beijing and Shanghai.
Oh, okay.
And so I've done many family artworks, families who have part of their life in those cities and part of their life elsewhere, outside.
Right.
It could be the United States, it could be Europe. And so a lot of those ones that you've seen are depicting that family's experience of those particular cities.
Right.
Now I'm doing pieces for families around the world. So the United States.
For instance, the United States.
Taiwan.
Okay. Of course.
I'm doing a piece right now based in Mexico.
Wow, okay.
And hopefully in London as well soon. To me, it's a wonderful chance to kind of see different cities through the perspective of particular families.
Which is very different from your own perspective, right?
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely. And sometimes I feel like I'm sort of following them around and seeing the world through their eyes. Yes.
Well, that's very interesting. Yes. I'm just curious, during the creative process, you sit down with them, right? Do they actually, besides talking to you, sharing their experiences with you, do they actually show you photographs or show you some mementos from the past?
Yes.
Do they do that?
Yes, look at mementos, looking at photographs is great. But actually one of the reasons it's so useful is because it sparks a discussion. Oh, I remember that time we did this in this place, and that I can see in this photo, and it sparks new adventures to be revealed.
Right.
And so the two parts of this artwork. One is the depiction itself, and the other part is the interview process. And I've been trying to learn how to draw out the stories.
Yeah, you mentioned spark conversation. That's what I get from your artwork, because now that you mentioned the pre-production, there's this spark conversation kind of experience, right? And then during the whole creative process, and even for us as audience, as spectators, looking at your artwork now, I'm sure if I have a friend next to me, when I'm looking at your exhibition, I would spark another conversation with him or her regarding the different elements in your artwork.
Right.
I think your artwork has this magic to do that.
That's wonderful. That's great.
Yeah, because I think your artwork, I could stand in front of your artwork for, let's say, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes looking at one piece, because there's just so many details in them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I have to say, when people are looking at my artworks, I quite enjoy just holding back and seeing what kind of conversations emerge.
Yeah. And I love being a detective, because sometimes when I look at your the family artworks, okay, most of the families are from foreign countries, right? They don't actually, they're not native Beijingers or Shanghaiers.
Or they may be part.
They may be part, okay. But they're from foreigners. But sometimes when I see like different family, artworks that you've done, I see certain elements, the same elements in this family and also in another family.
Right.
Why is that? 我喜欢当侦探柯南. I see the plate of cupcakes, for instance.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So firstly, if you have two families in the same city, there'll be many of the same objects, but they'll relate to those objects or landmarks differently, and they'll have different stories attached to them.
I can understand the landmarks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There are also, I've done families before that know each other, and therefore, actually, for those, there are certain little elements that are bridges between the artworks, that actually things those two families have in common. So how they connect into the larger web of other families.
Right.
So that's I quite enjoy kind of hiding those little bridges within the artwork.
That's the fun of looking at your exhibition, going through your exhibition, because actually we can actually play around with these and find the similarities within different families.
Yes.
And okay, now I know there's like some sort of connection between the families.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And also due to your Jewish background, the Jewish heritage, you actually made trips to Israel before. And there's one particular painting in this exhibition. It's called Jerusalem Colliding in the City of Gold. I'm attracted to this painting in particular because I've never been to Jerusalem. And yet, it's a different culture. Once again, you put in a lot of things that you see on the streets of Jerusalem in that painting.
Yes. it's a very intense city, really. You know, it's a city that has
So
layer
much
upon layer of
history. Yeah.
history, of different
Right.
cultures,
Yes.
different religions.
Yes.
Occupying, you know, really the same space. And so that's why, in some ways, it's one of the densest artworks that I've made for that
Right.
reason. Because you often, you know, you feel that density as you're walking around the city. Yes.
And I also find there's one person in particular that I love in that painting. He's in the lower right-hand corner. There's this old guy.
Yes.
He's sitting on a chair.
Yes.
He might be, I don't know, he's reading from a Torah or some kind of scriptures, but he's so unaffected and unconcerned by the bustling, the noisiness of the city.
Yes.
He's just sitting there.
Right.
So I think he's,
Right.
you know, he sums up the painting for me. He sums up the life in Jerusalem for me, or he sums up the life in general for me. There's a point in your life where you just let everything go,
Right.
where you focus on what you want to focus on, and
Yes.
he's that guy.
Yes, I think that's right. Being almost like the stones of the city themselves.
Yeah.
I think he's very different to me. I don't think I could do that.
You're very different because you're so observant and you're so involved with things that's going on around you, right?
Right.
That's why you could produce so many, you know, amazing and beautiful and magical artworks. Whereas he is so focused on, you know, reading something,
Right.
reading some
right.
kind of scriptures.
Yes, I think that's right. Whereas by instinct, I'm much more restless. Always want to turn over every stone and look, you know, look behind each corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, back to the exhibition itself, you know, what are your expectations of your exhibition here in Taipei this time?
I think actually for any exhibition, I think it's important to kind of approach the exhibition without knowing too much, actually. I think you should always first experience the artwork yourself, see what you take from it, what meanings you find, and then read the description or then listen to what it's about. Yes, I'm very keen that people should approach exhibitions that way. Yes.
So first just approach your artwork and just, you know, absorb what's in the artwork.
Yes, let it wash over you, find
Wash
your own
over
stories,
us.
your own associations.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then look at the title.
Sure, yes.
原来 that is about a family in Beijing.
There we go,
right?
yes.
For example.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. And then I hate to ask this question, okay? It doesn't mean I want you to go. I want you to stay in Taiwan,
Yes.
and yet I want you to go.
Yes.
Why is that? Because the reason is because I want to see how you portray other cities in
Right.
the world.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, how much longer do you plan to stay in Taipei, in Taiwan?
Right. I mean, for the past 3.5 years, I've barely left Taiwan. I've been here full time, all the time.
Right.
Yes, that period is coming to an end, and I am going to be doing projects in other cities, both drawing of cities, family artworks. I'm creating a new book, and these things will require me to be
Everywhere.
everywhere. Yes. Everywhere,
Yeah,
yes.
not only in Taiwan.
Yes.
And so we'll be seeing other cities as well, your portrayals of other cities as well in the future, I'm sure.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have any destination in mind, your next destination?
Actually, my immediate next destination is London.
Okay.
Which is where I grew up.
Wow.
And we were talking about so much about being an outsider in the place and depicting something as someone coming from outside. So it will be. I'm curious to see what happens when I'm actually in a place where I'm very much not an outsider, or maybe I am because I've spent so long abroad.
Away
Yes.
from London,
Yes.
right? And now you go back, you see London very much different from before,
Yeah, I think
right?
that's probably
Differently
right.
from
Yes.
before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
非常感谢今天 Leon 跟我们分享那么多 Thank you for sharing with us. And I wish you great success with the exhibition that's going on right now at 宛儒 Gallery Taipei. 当然，我也希望呢，各位有机会呢，一定要来看 Leon 的展览啊，在宛儒画廊一直到12月11号。其实今天呢，我的收获满满 ，OK， 受益良多，跟 Leon 聊那么多，因为我发现一个外国艺术家住在台湾，然后用他的方式，用他的视角去看台湾，去画出台北 ，OK， 我们熟悉的台北，但是用他的视角去看台北，也更加了解，比如说其他的亚洲城市。但是 the cherry on top of 今天的访问呢，是我更加的了解，也就是 Leon 他自己的一个属于他自己非常内心深处的一块，也就是他毫不吝啬的跟我们分享他的这个犹太的背景。 所以当我看到他的那幅画有关 Jerusalem 耶路撒冷呢，我非常非常有感。好，今天我们的 I Love Art 我爱艺术呢就到这边为止了，我们下次再见喽。